I was at Columbia Institute majoring in communications. My first job was down in Vineland, New Jersey, just a stone's throw from VLT.
It was WWBZ.
That's right.
1360.
Which now...
Pat Delsi.
Which now is...
That's how he got his name, from the Delsi Drive. No, you didn't. Did you?
I'll tell you a story about that very quickly, but before I get to that story,
I love it.
Let me tell you that WWBZ is now WNJC.
Right, yeah.
John Forsythe
Right,
has
yeah,
it
sure,
right here in South Jersey. Anyway, you mentioned Delsi, and a lot of people say, gee, they named the Delsi Drive after you. I said, yes, they did, but they spelled it differently. They spelled it wrong. When I went down, in class, I would use the name Don Stevens.
Right.
Because my name was long, very difficult for people to pronounce, and
That's
even
right.
to try to pronounce.
In the early days, they did not want you to use an ethnic name.
Right.
Today, they allow you to do it.
As a matter of fact, now they want you
to do it. I had a long Italian name, and by the time I would say the name, the show was over. So then I went by my first two names, Ron, Joseph, and that was too long. We cut it down to RJ. Simple way.
No periods.
Exactly the reason why I had to consider changing my name. So in class, I would use Don Stevens all the time. There was one problem with that. When they called me Don, I didn't turn around.
You weren't used to it.
Yeah, I'm Pat. So anyway, I go down to start the day. I get down around 10:30. I go on the air at noon, and I find out that I'm on the air with another guy by the name of Milt Stevens.
Oh, great.
That wasn't his real name either, but he was at the station. I couldn't use Don Stevens, so I have to go into the studio, one of the off studios, and try to figure out what I'm going to call myself. I tell the program director, I got to find out real quick.
That happened at SAG. I was managing a young fellow who chose a name that was already used in SAG, and we had to find a new name.
You got to start from scratch
to register him. And it wasn't that something SAG does it, and of course, even in a local station, you don't want to have the.
Oh, well, you wouldn't be right to him as well as myself. So I go in and I'm starting. By this time, I said I'm going to use Pat. Even though I didn't care for Pat, I was going to use
Pasquale.
And I couldn't use Pasquale; it would be difficult. But anyway, I got Pat. Now I said I want to maintain an ethnicity if I can.
That's nice.
And I'm trying to think of different names and stuff like that. And I'm writing things down. And finally, I said, well, what can I do with my real name? And I started with the first, D-E-L-S-I. I said, oh, that's all right. Delsi. It's easy to say.
Easy to pronounce.
And I decided, because I was going on the air in 10 minutes, I got to make a decision. So I picked Pat Delsi, and I go on the air. Opening it up, hi, this is Pat Delsi. Happy to be here on WWBZ with Milt Stevens today. We've got a great program for you, blah, blah, blah. And I played the first song.
Beautiful.
I did the music, he did the sports. Come back after the first record, the first commercial that I do, and in those days you did commercials live. It was for the White Sparrow Inn on Delsi Drive.
Oh, no.
Now, it hit me when I said on, Delsi Drive. The second commercial's on Delsi Drive. The third commercial's on Delsi Drive. Most of the commercials were either on Landis Avenue or Delsi Drive.
That's the main street in Vineland. Yes. Okay.
So Dorothy Carlson comes into the room in between a couple of records and says, Pat, you're a genius. They're never going to forget your name. Genius. I said, Dorothy, I wish I could take credit for being that smart. It never occurred to me about Delsi Drive, but it was a stroke of lightning.
A lot of people would take the credit.
Yeah.
He's being humble.
Yeah.
As I gave credit to Tony Mamarillo on the show you were on, that if it wasn't for Tony Mamarillo, there'd be no Dick Clark. I mean, we had
That's for sure.
We had to babysit him.
I'll give justice where justice is due.
That's right. Poor Tony. Tony had to, Ronnie, give him the product, change we had to change it.
He was always in the background, but he made it work.
He made it work. I'd have to hold a little anchor. It would say, brought to you by Pepsodent. I'd hold that, bring it back, wrapped in green, made for a teen, all that jazz. I was the poor kid. I came down there to dance. No, I came down.
To work.
I came down there to learn the business.
Best thing could have happened for you.
Right, Pat. I was not interested in being a camera hop, even though Barbara Marson said that last night at the diner. We had a wonderful time with a lovely young lady who used to dance with me on the show.